everyone. My name is Amina Unai Lawal. Welcome to yet another series of the Girl Child Education Project podcast. With me today is Bemi. We know her to be very passionate about young girls and their well-being. She has been to several communities, having community outreaches, empowering young girls to become self-reliant. And I would want her to talk more about herself. Welcome to the show, Bemi.
Thank you. My name is Bemi Elekula. Most people know me as Bemi DH, and I run several businesses. And like you said, amongst all of them, we have Human X, the one brand that brought us together with Code. Um, I've been an entrepreneur since 2011.
Wow.
Yes, I've I started with one brand. Name of that brand is Dream Home. So what we do at Dream Home is to make creative home products. We realize that the industry is quite large and quite a number of people who make products for the interior design industry. But what we aim to achieve with Dream Home is to make unique products for the home. We're also passionate about giving people lovely smells for their space. And over time, the brand has evolved. We still do, we give different homes, spaces, smells, but now we have evolved into giving hospitality. That's hotels, Airbnbs, anything hospitality, we now curate their own smell, their brand smell. So we're still doing the individuals, and then now we've moved on to hospitality. As you know, I also have a food business. That's a baby. I call it my baby. That's my baby. It's still a toddler, and catering to the food industry wasn't something I thought I would go into, but being that there's a lot of room for a lot of people to partake in, I decided to try it. And then there's also Human X. So Human X is a fashion brand, but a socially conscious one. What we do at Human X is we create very unique fashion. I don't mean unique. When I say very unique, you've seen our pieces.
Yeah.
You know that they are not anything that you would see anywhere else. And why do we do that? Why did we choose that niche? This is because we are committed to tackling period poverty, but we don't want to go around asking people, oh, please donate, help us, join us. Nah, I'm honestly very busy for that. Maybe when we expand, we can do that. So what we do is that from these fashion pieces that we create, most of the time people want them, they buy them, and then we take a portion of the profit and then we use them to produce reusable pads. We take them into underserved communities and distribute them amongst girls, women. Why? We found out that a lot of girls miss school when they're on their periods, and we're like, why? I mean, I wouldn't say the only reason I wouldn't come to work when I'm on my period is maybe because I don't feel well, but that maybe because I'm on my period and just that's just it, I won't come to work, I'll lose a lot of productivity here,
Yeah.
a lot of things that will not be done. So what we do, we give them those reusable pads so that they don't miss a single day of school. We also share to women in the community because we realize that some of them too won't go to work, some of them won't go to farm, they won't do anything while they're on their periods. In our community outreaches, we got a lot of feedback from the women. So what we do, we gather all of them in a hall or in a square, and you will hear their experiences during menstruation. It's quite a lot. And believe me when I tell you that some of them don't even have anything to use. They would stay home and bleed freely until those days are over before they return back to their normal lives. And so that's why exists. That's the reason why the brand was founded, to be honest. That's the reason. Founded to tackle period poverty. And so far, so good.
Wow, interesting. So I want to ask, how does your work with Human X empower girls through sustainable business?
Okay, so like I said earlier, um, we make sure not only girls, all females have normal lives during menstruation. With those kits, the dignity kits that we give to code,
Mm.
we make sure those girls don't miss school. We make sure the women go to work. But there's another aspect that most people don't know about, and that is that those pads were made from fabrics from fashion houses, ours inclusive. So all the off cut, you've seen us producing clothes. Well, you haven't seen our main factory, but you've seen some of the ones that we're doing here. We usually have a lot of off cut. You're trying to get a pattern for a particular style, you're going to have waste. We keep all of them. We don't trash anything. We keep all of them. So there are two ways that we channel the waste. We send one part to the factory that makes the reusable parts, and then we send another part to an organization called Tupa. So Tupa makes school bags. They recycle those fabrics and then they make school bags for kids in school. This is
Wow.
not just for female kids, kids in general. They make sure that the kids have a school bag to put their books and then they go to school. So those two ways.
Fantastic. While you were talking, you mentioned how you go for outreaches into underserved communities. So, how do you think that access to um, menstrual care products and menstrual hygiene education can improve retention and then empower the young girl in secondary schools?
So what Human X is basically trying to do is to tackle period poverty. Period poverty is a major education barrier. And this is something that most people don't know. Period poverty is not only the lack of sanitary products, it's also misinformation, it's stigma, it's shame, it's silence. Even in the city center, people don't discuss menstruation freely. They talk about it like it's some type of taboo. And before we partnered with Code, when we would go into the communities, we usually would have a lot of talk around menstruation. Yes, we gathered the women, but we would ask the men who were interested to stay on another side and we would talk about menstruation because we felt that we needed to dismantle all the negative things that were already affiliated with menstruation. um, we broke down the shame. It's not a thing of shame to bleed. I mean, if you don't bleed, how do you multiply this population?
Mhm.
Yeah, and when girls are going to buy their period products, they will wrap it in so many bags so that nobody sees that they have gone to buy sanitary pads and they don't want I don't want you to know that I'm menstruating. We talk about all of that and then we knock it down. Now, our reusable pads change the story. They're sustainable. They make sure that the girl doesn't miss school today, tomorrow, next month, next year, and for the next 3 years. Those pads are washable, dryable, reusable. We make sure that you are in school. Not only the girl, we make sure that the teacher who is going to teach the girl also gets these pads so that she's not missing school and then the girls are not missing education. So everybody is good on the education front. I always like to take out our talk from only education because we are also empowering the women outside to have a means of livelihood. Your menstruating doesn't mean that you cannot work, you cannot be productive, unless, like I said before, that unless you are ill, you feel maybe the cramps
Yeah.
or something, and then maybe you rest. But menstruation shouldn't stop you from being productive. It's a natural body function, just like we sleep, we pee, we poo. Menstruation is just the same way. It keeps you in school, it keeps you at work, it keeps you productive. These reusable pads, and you can live like every other human being. Nobody even gets to know that you're on your period.
I like the parts where you mentioned men who are interested. Education is empowerment. We all know that, and not just it, but the right information as well. Because I feel if we bring men to the table to have such conversations with them, and we'll have them as allies. So we have men that are not just informed, but they are also empowered to, protect
Yeah,
and guide their sisters and their mothers and eventually their
their
wives.
wives, their
So
daughters.
yes, their daughters as well. So it's an interesting angle to look at conversations regarding period and yes,
An outreach you were going to go for in Kogi,
yeah,
and I remember having a talk with your former CEO,
yeah,
Hamza, and I told him, I said, Hamza, I want you to be the person who is going to physically illustrate how these menstrual pads that we're giving to
yeah,
code
yeah.
works. He was like, I said, yeah, you, the man, not the woman, you. I want you, the man, to do it. Why? I need you to dismantle the whole belief that menstruation is a woman thing. Yeah, only women bleed, but men can come on board and understand it better. I feel like if men understand menstruation better, we will be able to tackle period poverty faster.
Yeah,
Yes. If they get to understand how this affects the life of an average female and they understand it properly, then this means that we are onto something. It means that period poverty will be completely eliminated. Yes. And so from the pictures, I saw that Hamza did that. I saw that he took a pair of pants
yes.
and then he put the reusable pad and he was teaching the girls that, okay, so you clip it under, and that was amazing. Um, from your new CEO, I found out that girls were giggling, the boys were hiding, and they were all laughing. It's expected. Their reaction is expected, and that's because a lot of stigma and shame surrounds the topic. But openly talking about it, you have already given them this impression that we can actually talk
Talk
about
about
this.
it.
There's nothing here that we cannot talk about. Yeah.
I also have an experience to share with regards how girls are more confident about their body and themselves if they have the right knowledge. Because in Bauchi State, like I mentioned, the GEP project is being implemented in Bauchi State. We have a mentorship program going on. It's a component of the project where we have girls that are attached to trained mentors. Now, these mentors are to expose these girls to both life skills, personal hygiene skills, digital skills, and the likes. And then we realized that these girls from the onset, they were timid, they were shy, they didn't want to talk, they were not outspoken. But I'll tell you now that today these girls are more
Beautiful.
confident in themselves. They talk
Amazing.
about their period, they talk of the info, they share not they, so they pass the knowledge down to the younger girls. Initially, we started with just 5 girls in each local government, and as of today, we have 10 girls in each
Oh,
local government.
goodness.
And what we did is pair mentoring with the younger girls. So the
Good.
older girls are now mentoring the younger girls
Well,
regarding their periods, regarding their hygiene, and even life skills. So it's a tremendous change from where we met them to where they are today.
today, yes. When we used to go into the communities then, um, we would talk about several changes in the body during menstruation: tender breasts, cramps, sometimes headache, mood changes. You know, some of them didn't even know that these changes were as a result of their monthly
Circle.
periods.
Yeah.
Yes, we were the ones who told them that these are body changes that happen when you're menstruating. Your breasts can become painful. The cramps, yeah, they all know about the cramps, and that was the most common
Knowledge.
change that they had. But the breasts, tender breasts, painful breasts, no idea. The mood swings, no idea. They didn't know that their periods were responsible for. So we taught them about their bodies, the changes, and then how it will go away after some time. We also used to teach them how to wash. And then the men would turn their faces away. Yeah, the men would turn their faces like, no, this you can teach your own girls, your daughters. You don't have to be the one to go there and do it, but just tell them, okay, when you want to wash, the labia and all of that. We used to teach them all of that. I'm sure you guys have taken over from us now with that.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
do. We do. I want to bring you back to entrepreneurship because um, I realize that most of our mentees, the girls back in Bauchi, are interested in business. I coordinate the mentorship. So I realize that most of the girls are interested in business. It will amaze you to know that since the onset of this mentorship program, we've trained girls on how to make snacks. We've trained them on we've encouraged them on making hair because some of them are interested in, styling hair. And we realize that they don't it's not about having them in school is ensuring that at the end of the day these
They
girls
can
are
apply.
empowered. Yes,
Yes,
they
they
are
can
empowered
apply the
and they can be
knowledge.
self-reliant. So bringing you back to the issue of entrepreneurship, how is it to be a female, a woman, and you manage multiple businesses and you're doing fantastically well for yourself? And do you think that mentorship or mentoring girls is important in on raising girls or grooming them to become entrepreneurs as yourself?
It's compulsory.
Okay.
Yes, because the classroom teacher will take you on subjects that's in school. But who teaches you life skills? Somebody will teach you, or you learn through a lot of experiences.
Yeah.
And so as not to go the long route of learning through several lessons, it's very
Yeah.
important that a girl has a mentor. What a mentor can teach a girl, first of all, self confidence, the belief that you can do it. That belief, very important. If you do not believe in yourself, you cannot get other people to believe in you and your business. First of all, self confidence. Then leadership. Yes, the girl needs to learn leadership, because if you're going to run a business, it means that as the administrator of that business, there are going to be a lot of people under you, and you need to be able to lead them to achieve the kind of results that you're looking for. That's number two. Communication is another one. How do you communicate to the people under you? How do you communicate to your clients? She needs to learn how to communicate. It's not I'm selling this thing, or there,
Yes.
you know
Yeah.
there are better ways that one can communicate. Another thing she needs to learn is negotiation. Yes. um you would say, oh, I offer X service, and I'm offering it for Y naira. And then your client comes, I'm like, I can't afford Y naira, I have Z naira to give you, right? And so you have to be able to negotiate and then find a common price ground that everybody can work with.
Yeah.
Another thing, time management, right? Very key. Something it's a skill that most people in Nigeria don't have, because we do not really respect time here. She needs to be able to learn how to manage her time so that she can be effective in her business. All these are not things that she would naturally have or learn, and that's why it's very important that there's a mentor that already has these skills who can mentor her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice because um we took it a step further, going beyond just handing them the care pack, the menstrual care pack. We had a mini project with these girls. we brought all of them together, 40 girls into a hall, and we brought a facilitator who knows how to sew. And then we brought like you said, those pieces, the materials, we brought a lot of them. We actually asked the girls themselves to sort for these materials so that they can understand that whatever material we were going to use is something they can get from their local
Easily,
community.
yes.
So they brought these materials together, and then we taught them hands on how to make reusable pads in Bauchi State.
Great.
So we brought girls from Ningi, from Alkalari, from Zaiki, and some girls in Bauchi. We brought them all to the state capital, Bauchi, to teach them how to make reusable pads. And we, at the end of the day, we give them kits and we give them sewing machines.
Oh,
So
nice. Oh,
each
that's
school
nice.
goes
That's nice.
back to their school with sewing machine. And it will interest you to know that these girls reached out to say, we've taught girls in our schools how to make reusable pads.
Oh,
But
fantastic.
Auntie Mimi, I would want to make it and sell. And so that informs the question I was asking. How is it important? How important is it? Because it's not just about knowing the skill.
Yeah.
How do you convert your skill into financial gain, financial benefit? I think it is important because that would empower the girl. And we're talking about transition as well. So it is not just retention, not just being in school, but how do they, when they're done with secondary school, how do they say, you know what, I want to further my education? How do the transition come to be if there is financial constraint? So what we're trying to do is to reduce the issue of financial, because it's also an issue
Yeah.
in terms of girls' education. Now, these girls are not just being empowered to take care of themselves, understand menstrual hygiene, but they also now sell these pads and save money, and eventually they will be able to sponsor themselves, if not 100% sponsorship by their business. But at least I think it's better. Parents will be even proud to know that my daughter has 50% of her school fees. What we're looking for is 50%. Now the parents are motivated to help her, because what excuse do you have? She's not asking you to bring all the money.
Yeah.
So that informs the question we asked. So my final question goes thus. I think it's been an interesting conversation, and yes. So my final question goes thus: what advice would you give? Because in all honesty, if we want to be realistic, we know that these girls in the grassroots community do not have access to a lot of things.
Yes.
Information is one of those. Adequate information, one of those, and the level of support that they would need to evolve and become better in whatever it is they do, it's a challenge. So what advice would you give now? You're giving two advice. One for us as development workers, and other for the girls themselves. What advice would you give to these girls to that if they hold on to and they implement it, or they take it to action, they would become self-reliant, they'll become successful entrepreneurs just like yourself, and yes, they'll become leaders.
Okay. The first one I'm going to talk about is, there's financial poverty, right?
Yeah.
Then there's another poverty that is worse than financial poverty, and that's the poverty of the mind. There's a lot that we can change with our minds. But if you are held back by the poverty of the mind, I feel like it's over for you.
Yeah.
A girl needs to dream big. Yes. Nobody is going to arrest you for dreaming big. It's free. You need to look beyond your environment, your situation, all your setbacks, and dream big. Dreaming big opens up your mind to possibilities. It helps you to know that there are other things out there that you can achieve. You must dream big. I promise you, that is one advice. I am a little girl from the suburb of Kuminmashi in Kaduna, and this is me today. I still dream. I still dream. I have a lot to do before I leave this world. A lot. That's the first advice I would give. The second advice I'm going to give to the girls, not to quote now, is to take advantage of opportunities. What Code is doing is amazing. Going to the grassroots, having one on one with the girls, that already is an opportunity that has come to meet you. You didn't come to the city,
Yeah.
it came to meet you in your own community. A lot of opportunities there. You're mentoring them, you're teaching them, you're talking to them. The opportunity is there. Leverage on every opportunity that comes your way. This is life. You know, when you have spent a lot of years on earth, you look back on some things and you realize that everything was working for you to become who you are today. Opportunities inclusive. So they must leverage on every single opportunity that comes their way. Leveraging on these opportunities will support their big dreams. My first advice will definitely move them from where they were before to the next step. Those two advice would be what I would give. Now for Code, everything you are doing is amazing, but now you need to do some mind work with the kids. My kids went to a Christian primary school, and then their most popular Bible verse is, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. As it was such a common thing for them to say, and so we got used to it. But then one day I was like, this is nice. It's a Bible quote,
So
but
it's
this is
motivation.
nice.
Yeah.
Yes, that I can do all things, first of all, before we get to through Christ who strengthens me. But I can do all things. I can do all things. And I don't fail to tell my kids every day, even when I'm admonishing them, I say, you can do this thing now. I know you can do this. I'll tell you, I know you can do this. You just don't want to do it. I know you can do it. All you have to do is set your mind. When you fixate your mind to it, even when you see setbacks, impossibilities, one thing my mind has taught me is that once I fixate on something, the ways start to open. It just starts opening. I'm amazed. I'm like, what if I had given up, at the onset when I reasoned it, before I even put myself into it? What if I gave up at that point? Now I'm seeing everything working out. You need to work on their minds. You need to let them know that they can be anything that they want to be. Mind work, it goes a long way. So while you are doing the physical work, keeping them in school, mentoring them, teaching them life skills, teaching them craft, food, everything, mind work. Because even if you teach them all of that, if they haven't settled it in their minds, results to zero.
Thank you so much. I know I said the last question, but there's another question as well. So you spoke about you've told us about mind work, and you've also talked about how it's important for the girls to believe in themselves. But while you were talking, so I thought of a question. Do you think we're all stakeholders in ensuring that we see our young girls become the kind of leaders we want them to become? But so don't you think, or do you think that there is an important role that the government have to
Oh,
play
it's a lot.
in ensuring that the potentials of these young great minds come to life?
Yes. Number one, the quality of the education. This is, there's a gap. And not just in government schools. You won't even believe it. In private schools
Yeah.
as well. There's a gap. Let me put it this way. Teachers try their best. They just try their best. Um, Maybe they need better teachers, more teachers. But the quality of education is something that the government can work on. Now, like I always say, education is basic. That's just one aspect. Skills. They've introduced skills in the curriculum. I know that my kids come home and say, oh, they are doing this. And then we also have a school in Kaduna, and I see new subjects, which are skills. So the government has already done that. It's now to push, press down on it. Every student must take one or two. Insist. Because I went to school, yeah. Um, I studied a course in university, came out with good grades, but that's not what I'm using
Yeah.
today. I'm not using it at all for anything. So that education was good. The first foundation for me gave me access to the current things I'm doing now. So quality education, life skills, also to equip the schools with everything that they need to be able to achieve these two things.
Much, Bimi. So one last thing, I want you to tell the girls one final word from you, word of wisdom, whatever it is. Just tell the girls.
My dear girl, you can be anything you think you can be. You can be an entrepreneur like me. You can be a pilot. You can be a doctor. You can be an accountant. You can be a mentor to other girls. You can be a nurse. You can make clothes. You can make shoes. You can be anything that you want to be. Today, I want you to sit down and ask yourself, what problem am I going to solve in this world, not just your community? I want you to start dreaming big from today onwards. Ask, what problems exist in the world that I can solve? From there, you get to know what you want to be, and then you start to work towards it.